In this video, we invade Fred the Cat's personal space, I look like I've seen and actually maybe am a ghost, and I walk around in the rain at night holding two phones side by side while definitely not looking creepy at all. Hey guys, I'm Tom the Tech Chap, and I've got the new Galaxy S21 Ultra with me here, along with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I want to figure out which phone has the best camera. So I've got my laptop with me here. I'm just going to walk through and give you my analysis of the photos I've taken, but I also want to hear what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you think I've completely missed the mark and I couldn't be more blind? Either way, let me know in the comments below. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet and you check below, I'm like right on that 1 million mark. It could be you actually that tips me over. Hit that subscribe button, it'd be hugely appreciated, and hopefully we can hit that 1 million. And as you can see, I want to start with a blind test. Can you tell the difference? Do you know which is which? And also, do you have a preference? Let me know in the comments. To be honest, I reckon you guys have probably got this right, but I can tell you that on the left, photo A is the S21 Ultra with the iPhone 12 Pro Max on the right. So let's go through the different lenses, and if we start with the ultra wide, then switching to the main lens, so now we're at 1x essentially. Now let's move up to 3x zoom, and on the iPhone we actually get a 2.5x optical, so this is going to its maximum optical zoom and then cropping it a little bit to the 3x, but then this is where things get interesting, moving up to 10x. So now this is taking full advantage of the S21 Ultra's new periscope zoom. And what a difference. I mean, even in the foreground actually, look at the bushes, the trees, there's a significant difference in quality. Moving up to 30x zoom, so this is actually the 12.5x max digital zoom of the iPhone cropped in further to 30x. What a difference. You can even see the people on the S21's shot, which just don't appear at all on the iPhone. I took these the exact same time, side by side. And then finally at 100x, well, they're both kind of bad actually, but one is a lot worse than the other. Okay, this time back in my kitchen, let's go through the zooms one more time. And again, we are getting that quite significant difference in contrast between the two. Samsung say that they've increased the contrast by 50% with the S21 Ultra, which is a bit vague. I mean, from what the numbers there, but clearly you can see the iPhone's got a flatter look. Up to 10x, and the S21's doing a fantastic job. The clarity of this blue microphone is, well, significantly better than the iPhone. And even at 30x, there's bits of noise and artifacting. It doesn't look as clean, but yeah, side by side, no competition really. And finally, 100x. This is actually probably only 5 meters from me or so, so this is very zoomed in at 100x. But yeah, I think the difference speaks for itself. So there's no question really, when it comes to zooming in, the S21 Ultra is the clear winner. But let's talk a little bit more about image quality generally. No edits or filters, I've not adjusted any of these photos, it's fresh out of the camera, but look at the difference in the colors, particularly the grass, and again I would say the S21 is closer to reality. So it's that question of whether you want accuracy or vibrancy. It's interesting because with this flower photo, and if I just quickly jump ahead to this close-up of the petal, is that what you call it, the flower petal, the flower itself? That difference of contrast does give you, a very different look for a start, but the advantage on the iPhone is that you do have more information, more detail in those darker areas. So if you look, say, at the top of the vase, you are seeing a fair bit more on the iPhone, so if you're going to edit this afterwards, you may have sort of more information to work with. Again, quite a difference in color and contrast. This is a tricky one because straight off the bat, I'm kind of leaning towards preferring the S21. It just feels like a more realistic photo. Again, we've got that much brighter look on the iPhone. But actually, if we, Sarah's gonna hate me for this, but if we zoom in on her face, the iPhone is a fair bit sharper. This isn't portrait mode, it's just a regular photo, but we saw that with that initial blind test portrait mode where again, Sarah's features, the facial features were just a little bit clearer. But then switching it to a portrait mode photo, same distance away, but there's this clear pattern emerging of iPhone is brighter and flatter versus a more shadowy, contrasty, slightly cooler look on the S21 Ultra. But looking at these, and also if we just move on to a picture of me, which one do you prefer? Because a lot of this is going to come down to your subjective preference, aesthetics. Do you prefer, bright and airy, Instagram ready, or do you want a more sort of darker, realistic, contrasty look? I'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts, so do let me know along the way what you think in the comments. I think if this video's taught me nothing else, it's that I really could do with a tan, although sadly it's not very likely in the middle of winter here in England. So we established the S21 Ultra is the king of the zoom, but it's also the best when it comes to close-up macro shots. Just look at this photo. These are taken side by side, exactly the same distance away from the top of my Yeti Blue microphone, so you can get an idea of what this is, and it's such a difference. If I just put my hand in front of the lens, you can see it automatically switching between them, so now we can get much closer, more macro shots. Now you can turn that off, you can just tap the little yellow focus enhancer if you don't want it to keep switching when you're close up to a subject. To be honest with you, I'm not sure how often I would actually use the macro myself, but it's a nice option to have, and I think paired with the incredibly impressive zoom with this guy, I reckon the S21 Ultra is the most versatile camera. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit and look at some low light nighttime shots. And on the face of it, there's not a massive difference between the two photos. The colors on the iPhone are a little bit warmer if you look at the walls in the background or indeed the floor under my desk. But I think what really stands out is if you look at my light strip behind the desk and also my monitor itself, the S21 is doing a much better job with the dynamic range, reducing the highlights and the blown out areas on the screen and behind the desk. They're both pretty good though, but actually another little minor thing I've noticed is that the S21 Ultra has a slightly wider field of view. If you go from the back of my chair on the far right to the left hand side of those shelves, you can see we're getting more in the frame with the S21. Oh man, I hate this photo so much, but it is a good demonstration of how different these can be. Straight away, I am drawn to the iPhone, which is much brighter versus the more contrasty, darker and cooler look of the S21. But if I was going to pick my favorite and maybe even post one straight away onto my social media, I would probably go with the iPhone here. This is actually another good example of how well the S21 deals with the dynamic range. I'm not even sure what you call those things in the middle of the road, the sort of median things, but you can see on the S21, again, it's done a much better job at reducing that really overexposed highlight, whereas on the iPhone, the left one in particular, is just, well, completely blown out. Okay, let's switch things around and look at the front selfie camera. I must admit, while the iPhone looks slightly more appealing because again it's much brighter, it's raised all those shadows, I kind of like the more shadowy, realistic look of the S21 Ultra. I think a lot of this is going to come down to your personal preference and which kind of aesthetic you prefer. Now this one's really interesting because I actually took this selfie in direct sunlight, so it was really, really bright on my face. You can see the background in the iPhone shot that it's much brighter and everything is better exposed, but then my face is completely washed out and lacking in detail. Okay, this is the last photo, I promise, before we look at some video. And I think there's a definite pattern here with the photography. The iPhone goes for a slightly brighter, flatter, warmer, and arguably more pleasing look, whereas the S21 Ultra is consistently a little bit more contrasty, more shadows, and also a cooler color temperature. Let's talk about video, and this is being shot at 4K 30 on both side by side, and this is Fred the cat here, who is very kindly letting me film him, although he usually hates the camera being thrown in his face. And it's interesting to see the stabilization between the two, because the iPhone 12 Max specifically does stand out thanks to its sensor shift stabilization, so we should be looking for a slightly smoother video on the iPhone, but in this good light, I can't tell a massive difference. However, at night things are a little bit different, and you can see while neither are flawless, the iPhone does a much better job at reducing those horrible vibrations that you get with my footsteps. And surprisingly, a bit of a reverse of what we saw with the photos, the iPhone seems to be handling the very bright streetlights and again those weird median road things much better than the Galaxy. So for this test, Sarah is very kindly modeling for me. Very perfect. But I kind of want to see how they compare when it comes to focusing. One of the new features of the iPhone 12 Pro Max is the LiDAR, which should, in theory, especially in low light, help with focusing. So hopefully that gives you an idea how they compare when it comes to focusing in tricky lighting. Thank you, Sarah. But what about front-facing video and also microphone quality? So this is actually being shot with the front cameras at 4K 30. I'm also jumping between the mics. You can see the little speaker icon on screen. And as I pan around, we change the lighting. This is actually behind the scenes of where I've been filming this video. hopefully it'll give you an idea of how the cameras compare. So if I just keep rabbiting on for a little bit longer, I'm about to hit 1 million subscribers actually, so if you guys haven't subscribed yet, you may be the one that tips me over the edge, so hit that little subscribe button down below, it would be very much appreciated. But I also need to figure out what I'm going to do to celebrate 1 million subscribers. That's pretty insane. But yeah, let me know which one you think has the better camera and the better mic in the comments below. So that's the main stuff, but each one has a couple of little extras. For example, on the Samsung, we get 8K video, still at 24 FPS, but if you want that super duper high resolution, you can. And one of the benefits of that is you can then pull out 33 megapixel screenshots. So you could just record yourself for a while and then take a screen grab and you've got a nice high quality picture. So that is quite a nice extra. Also on the iPhone, with this for the first time on the 12 series, including the Pro Max here, we can shoot in Dolby Vision HDR, which is quite nice, and actually watching it back on the screen is beautiful. Although make sure if you're going to share it with anyone else that they also have a compatible screen or TV or laptop that supports Dolby Vision. Another advantage of the LiDAR, aside from helping with low light focusing, is you get better augmented reality and 3D measuring. Now, I'm not sure how often people will actually use this, but if you are using one of these 3D mapping apps, then you can get some pretty cool results. Oof, that was a lot to take in, and also I think my voice is getting a bit horsey, but my conclusion from that, I think the S21 Ultra is the most flexible camera, and I think I would also call it a tie when it comes to photography. They're just different, and I don't think one is really always better than the other. They trade blows, they're both excellent, you can't go wrong with either. If I had to pick one for photos, I would probably go with the Samsung just because I kind of like the more true to life, accurate, even if it's less flattering look of the images. But when it comes to video, I think I'd probably go with the iPhone. But most importantly, which one do you think came out on top and why? Let me know in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video and want to see more from me and also help me get over that 1 million subscriber mark, don't forget to hit that sub button below. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.